Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. This is the ScaleLogic 2020 Virtual Summit. Today, we have a rockstar team with us. We're very happy to have Mr. Bob Herzan, the CEO of ScaleLogic. We have Al Rayo, VP of Global Sales, and Daryl Hines, the CTO. Gentlemen, thanks for being here today and to go through all the wonderful things that we have planned. Just for the listening audience, just so you're aware, just a few things. We're not going to be able to focus on all the products and services today, obviously. We have 60 minutes. There's a lot to talk about. So we're going to basically just emphasize all of our NAS shared storage solutions. That also said, we have a whole team of our tech people online today to answer any questions through chat that you may have as well. And if we don't get to your questions even through chat, I will guarantee you 100% that we will be answering all your questions, obviously through email. We can call you back, anything if you want, longer discussions about stuff, we're here for you. So with that, let's just kick off sort of the world as we know it, I guess. 2020 has been interesting. Let's just put it that way. Obviously, a lot of unexpected things happened this last quarter. But that being said, there is a very bright future ahead, I think, for everyone. It's, the technical community has definitely weathered the storm for sure and come together in ways that we've probably never seen. People are adopting new ways to work, and I think adopting in a way that's, business continuity and all those types of things are now actually flourishing and probably bringing about a lot of new ideas and, new realms of business for the future. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Bob, the CEO. And Bob, if you wouldn't mind just bringing us up to speed on all things ScaleLogic related.
Absolutely, Scott. Let's rock and roll. Thanks for the introduction. And thank all of you for joining. Actually quite overwhelming to see how many people join this particular webinar series. I guess when we're all stuck at our home offices, we got a lot more time for webinars, but I really appreciate your interest and thank you for joining today. First thing I wanted to do is step back a year. 2019 was actually a phenomenal year for ScaleLogic. We had an enormous amount of growth as an organization. We spent a lot of time investing in people, adding to our team. We invested into the technology, into our lab, into our marketing, and really a phenomenal year overall. And then fast forward into 2020, we had exciting plans focusing in on product launches coming into NAB 2020, and here we are. We couldn't do that, but the great thing about my team is that they were very comfortable in moving into a remote environment, and we really didn't miss a beat as an organization. We followed through with everything that was planned in January, all the way up now through May, and business has been actually very, very strong. So I'm proud of the team for everything that they've done. As Scott mentioned, we don't have a lot of time, and if we were at NAB, we'd have 4 days and lots of setup meetings, and we could sit there and go through all of the different things that we've designed and developed around our platform. But because we only wanted to take an hour of your time today, we really wanted to focus in on one of the core products that has seen so much success in the industry over the last couple of years and all the enhancements that we've built around it. So that's the NX and ZX network attached storage that we have. And this product can be used for primary video editing applications. It's also great as a second tier and actually has features built into it to allow you to do disaster recovery. So it meets small, medium, and enterprise level workflow environments, which is pretty unique overall for a storage product to be able to do that. This product has seen success in the post-production market, the broadcast market, house of worship market, corporations, and sports, as well as just general IT into data centers. So it's really fit not only a sweet spot within the verticals, but it's actually been able to go a bit a bit horizontal as well. So what the team's going to talk to you about today are really several advancements to what was already a phenomenal product. And we were going to launch most of this around NAB. The first is a brand new product, a brand new appliance. It's an all NVMe head unit for the NX and the ZX to increase overall performance in a gigabit network. Second, we're going to talk about data management and what we've embedded into the system for not only moving data from your primary disk to either secondary disk or tape, but embedded S3 connectivity as well, so that you can use either a private or public cloud or any S3 compatible device. We launched Media Browser last year at NAB, and this year we've embedded it into the product line, and it's got some incredible new features associated to it as well. That people really need to get a complete demo on. We won't do that today, but it needs to be a full demo for you if you're interested in having this level of management. Added a encryption at rest, and Daryl spent some time talking a little bit about encryption at rest, but basically building a very secure repository for your media, that if for some reason it was stolen or taken, no one could get access into it. And then we'll finish up talking a little bit about our support packages that we built into the product line that are more enterprise-like versus the price point the product's at. And the last piece that we'll talk about, we threw this in at the end because over the last 2 months, people really fell into the need to do remote workflows. And so we'll talk about how you can access not only our product, but other products remotely, and what we've done to test and certify these. So that's what we're looking forward to doing. Al and Daryl are going to bring you through most of this presentation. Back to you.
Sounds good, thanks. So let's jump right into pretending we're in Las Vegas right now, I guess. So it's hopefully everyone has a drink in their hand and you know, they're ready to go through this. We're starting off today with effortless scalability, and really that's about the customers' capacity and performance through design, comprehensive planning, growth modeling, and obviously advanced support services. So with that, setting the stage for that, I'm actually going to now pass it over to Al. Al, if you wouldn't mind bringing the listening audience through the NX2.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are. Hope you, your families and teams are healthy and safe. And thanks a ton for making time for this presentation. We really appreciate it. The picture you see on the screen is going to be the new ScaleLogic chassis bezel. So we're going to be shipping that starting very, very soon, if not already. And we promised our resellers we're not going to be repetitive, but there's a bunch of folks here who are not familiar as much with ScaleLogic, so we're just going to do a quick overview. We've seen the shared storage market evolve for us over the last 3 to 5 years. 80% of our business was SAN, and we also make a SAN, and about 20% was NAS. And today, about 80+% of our business is NAS devices, right? So there's a bunch of NAS devices on the market today. Most of them are very consumer-centric NAS devices. They're not optimized for video workflows. And the other set of NAS devices that are enterprise-rich, enterprise feature-rich, are super expensive. ScaleLogic really does hit the optimal sweet spot for a feature price performance metric, right? There was also a time where there was only very few vendors who could do avid bin locking and high performance, right? Today it's pretty ubiquitous, right? That's not much of a discussion. Everybody has avid bin locking and high performance, including ScaleLogic. We do have high performance NAS, and we also focus a lot on disaster recovery and data protection, right? That's a big part of our focus. The NAS is built on the ZFS file system, which is inherently a self-healing file system that further adds to the data protection feature of the product. A few of the other features I'll go over real quick is we offer unlimited snapshot capability, both at the admin and user level. So if you've ever had to do a divide and conquer to fix your Avid files, you will appreciate this. And if you ever moved a file folder and cannot find it, or deleted a file folder by mistake and like, oops, you will really appreciate this feature, because you could just, scroll the snapshot back and you're like you started, right? So a huge feature for disaster recovery and data protection. We also have the ability to scale up our NAS. So the NX2 can be scaled to 5 petabytes in size, and the ZX can be scaled to 9 petabytes. Now, when we talk about scaling, we're talking about, you're starting with a particular chassis, you're adding another chassis to the back, and you keep adding up to 5 JBODs and 4 JBODs in a head unit in any one workflow, without the need to ever relaunch volumes or reboot clients, any of that complication, right? So you're just going to be increasing your storage capacity invisibly in the background, right? So that's a pretty cool feature. And then we have a feature where a lot of our competitors don't have, and that is being able to create a single global namespace. So if you have a 1 petabyte storage pool or a 2 petabyte storage pool, you can create a single global namespace or a single working volume of up to 2 petabytes, right? That's not to say we cannot create smaller work group related namespaces or volumes. And you could do that. You could create as many volumes as you need to, but there are some workflows that just cannot do without the single volume across multiple chassis. A lot of our competitors cannot do that, and we can very easily accommodate that. It's a pretty cool feature. And last overview is, although the NX2 is feature rich to go in as primary shared storage into just about any work environment out there, it's also incredibly economically priced, right? So you could use the NX2 as tier 2 storage under the likes of Isilon, Quantum, Avid, or EditShare. So if anybody has, either of these, what I would like to call premier or expensive storage devices out there, and are looking to just expand their storage capacity, the NX2 is an incredible option, and we have a lot of our resellers have embraced that pretty successfully. Thank you for that. So that was a very short and quick synopsis overview of our storage products for people who are not familiar. And if there's any further details that you would like on this product, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to do a demo. We'd be happy to do, give you access to our storage in our interoperability lab. We have over 2 petabytes of physical storage spinning with just about NLE or workflow related tool in our lab. So if you guys want to test the storage with any of these NLE tools or workflows, reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to accommodate that for you. Thanks, Scott.
All right, so now we're just going to move on to Daryl, if you wouldn't mind taking us through some of the technical details.
Sure, thanks. Let's go right now and talk about what's new in the NX2. We already elaborated on some of that, but let's dive in a little bit further. First up on the what's new with the NX2 product line is we've embedded the technology to back up, archive, or sync to all types of different devices inside the head unit. So this might have been an ancillary server. So new for this year is we've embedded that technology in. We need to be able to back up our data, archive it, or sync it, and we need to be able to do that to a diverse type of storage on the back end for the landing spot. You might be familiar with, we are able to always do this to our NX2 device, but we've added the ability to go to tape directly attached to the back of the NX2 if that's feasible, LTO tape, or push to any S3 compliant storage device. We'll elaborate more on that a little bit later in the summit. But that allows us very powerful and easy to use data protection and management strategy with the product. So very excited about that announcement. We've included the media browser in the NX2. Many are familiar with that. We've been able to get a free trial from our website for the past year. But now the NX2 is coming with 3 seats of media browser included in the product. And everybody might be familiar with the Adobe Premiere and Final Cut 10 push and pull ability for creating metadata tags, star ratings, sub-clipping, some of the various features. But this year we've added complete integration with the Resolve product as well. And we've added in the start to at push-pull with Avid as well. So look for some of that detail in our help videos, and definitely reach out for more information about those items. We're going to talk a little more about Media Browser later on in the summit here. We've added some remote editing capabilities. Media Browser does lend itself nicely to several workflows for allowing folks to work remotely, whether that at home or freelance editors that are working on the NX2 storage. So we'll talk about more about that. Encryption at rest is new. This is a AES 256-bit encryption. This is an encryption data at rest. When the disk storage is shipped from onset to post, for example, or anytime you are worried about theft of that content, encryption at rest is very important, and if something is lost in transit, your content is still protected and not accessed. It's very similar to the technology that online banking uses to keep your data safe while it's flowing over the internet. This is just the same type of technology put down on the device. So this is an added feature of the NX2 available. Finally, we continue to enhance our health monitoring. We have built-in health monitoring offering up to 84 data checkpoints within the system. This is an outboard communication as well, and just helps you continue to keep your NX2 running at top performance, completely protected and reliable. And that alerts can be set up to more than one person. Scale Logic can also be part of the alert team and is very happy to do so, and is a great enhancement to the product to ensure that your infrastructure is secure and running. We also have the NVMe, which we'll dedicate a direct slide to here in a moment. But Scott, I think it's definitely time to talk about the ZX. So that was what was new with the NX2, and now we'd like to talk about the ZX.
Sounds good. Again, I'm not the technical professional, but I'm going to pass it off to someone who is. So Al, if you wouldn't mind, introducing this, and then Daryl will come back to you for some of the finer details as well.
So folks who know me on the seminar and you call me technical are going to laugh. So anywho, so we do. So
I was trying to be nice. Man. I was trying to be nice.
So we do have this. We do have a high availability feature with the recovery time of so real-time mirroring with a recovery time of less than 60 seconds, and that's called the Scale Logic ZX device. It's got the exact same feature sets that I mentioned earlier of the NX2, only high availability added. So Daryl, I'd really appreciate if you bail me out here and talk about the various types of AHA that we offer with this device.
Yep, sure. So what's shown here is our most popular iteration of the ZX, and like everybody said, that same features of the NX2, same kind of workloads, but this is going into areas important to keep downtime to an absolute minimum. So in this case, what's shown here is our dual node ZX HA system with a shared SAS attached JBOD connected to it. So both nodes can see all of the storage. And if one of those nodes would fail for any reason, the other one can pick up within 60 seconds. The clients, most of them won't even disconnect. They will stay connected. So this system has a couple of different types of HA available. So what you're seeing here is the dual local head node. So this is just 2 servers. One can fail, you're still up and running, and used for very time sensitive media production where you definitely don't want to be without your storage for more than 1 minute. In addition to all of the built-in mirroring that we already talked about, we also have the ability to co-locate one of these servers or several servers up to a 50-kilometer radius of the other one, and use that as what's known as a metro cluster. So when you hear us talk about a metro cluster, This is simply just taking this concept of two servers, one is able to fail, and just moving one of those away from the other one. On a campus, move it to the other side of the campus. In a city, move it to a data center in the other side of the city. So up to a 50-kilometer radius. The reason it's 50 kilometers is so that we can control the latency, have latency at a minimum. And now when the data is written, it's going into basically an Ethernet mirror and can withstand uptime that way. In addition, the ZX can expand a little further than the NX2, can go up to 9 petabytes just due to our ability to put more SAS buses into the chassis to accommodate more JBODs that can be connected. So ZX system, everything the NX2's got, just moving to an HA typical system. So now we'd like to discuss really exciting NVMe addition to our product line. Al, just give us a little introduction to the NVMe product here.
Sure, Daryl, thank you very much. So super excited about this brand new product. I mean, actually a brand new product. We keep getting asked about high performance NAS, and here it is, right? With a sustained read-write throughput of 12 gigabytes a second over 100 gig E, we can now get uncompressed 4K, 8K, 10-bit and above resolution performing of this NAS. NVMe is, for those who don't know, NVMe is a new protocol that puts the SSD flash directly on the PCIe bus, right? Effectively doing away with the SAS backplane bottleneck and dramatically increasing the performance over flash. To take advantage of the NVMe performance, we had to redesign the entire chassis. So new motherboard, new processor, new software code. So the NVMe is truly a new product. This is one of the rare times where development actually exceeded our expectations and delivered a product ahead of schedule. So we would have liked to rename this, like give it a brand new name, but we just didn't have the time for this. We were excited and wanted to introduce it at this webinar. So Scott, this is a brand new product, bottom up. I'll give it to you. Maybe Daryl can talk in depth about this a little bit more.
Sounds good. Let's. What are the challenges that this solves?
Yeah, so the exact challenges that this solves, number one is the top level performance. The previous NX2 systems all have a 12 gigabit SAS backplane architecture. This moves to an NVMe. It allows our top level gigabyte per second to go up. So now we've rated this at 12 gigabyte per second, and in the near future, hopefully testing will have us raising this number, but 12 gigabytes per second of throughput off of flash storage. What that equated to in our lab was over 40 streams of ProRes 4444 and more than 6 streams of 4K 10-bit DPX in a color correction test. So extreme performance top level is the first benefit to this. Obviously, when you get to this type of performance, the 100 gigabit network works the best to come out of this device into your core network. Obviously, it can work in 25 and 40 gig environments as well, but definitely the sweet spot, 100 gigabit backplanes. The second benefit that we realized with the NVMe layer is enhancing our metadata operations. So many are familiar with the SAN topology, where we actually take the metadata and we put it on some dedicated fast devices. Metadata is things like your file names, your directory names, and metadata about the files. Moving that to the NVMe layer here supercharges that metadata process and makes opening projects much quicker, working with small files much quicker, renaming much quicker, deleting much quicker. So nice gains there. The third benefit is we can take advantage of the spinning disk drives underneath this head unit, because you can expand this with our typical NX2 and ZX JBODs with spinning disks. But now we can bring in software intelligent to store small files to flash and have a big file that does just fine coming off the spinning disk. So great optimizations there as well. So 3 benefits to moving to this type of technology where you still can have spinning disk JBOD underneath. Some of the applications that we've already certified with this would be the Adobe Premiere, Avid Editing, Resolve. Some things that are up on the short list are Flame. So as the summer goes on, we will have more and more applications tested, but really just about anything that works with our NX2, which is almost everything, is going to work with this, and it's really just going to get enhanced. Everything about this product is performance. The flash tier can be sized, so our sales will work to help customize the flash tier sizing and make sure that you're not over provisioning that. So there's flash tier sizes from 11.5 terabytes up to 100 plus terabytes, depending on the need for your workflow. So very excited about the NVMe, and let's move over to the media browser. Hopefully many have taken advantage of the trial and checked out the media browser. It's a very professional video playback. The new features that I mentioned already were the addition of the push to resolve for in and out points, subclips, metadata. The other enhancements here is adding in all of the RAW formats that are popular, the Blackmagic RAW, the ProRes RAW, and RE RAW, and being able to play those files right from the browser as well. So this is also going to be a key to some remote editing workflows. Not all, but some. This software does go on the client station, whether you're on a laptop remotely, or you're in your facility near the storage, or you're on set. You're going to be running this on your actual laptop. So it's easy to install and no hardware needed. And therefore, we tend to see a very high adoption rate with this product because editors feel it's easy to run because it looks like Premiere, feels like Premiere, feels like the tools that they're used to. One huge thing to get your hands around on this is it is working with the high-res files. It is not making low-res proxies or anything unless you actually tell it to do that. It does have a lightweight transcoder built in where you can do quick fix transcoding with just a right click and send to. All right. That is the media browser. Once again, it's very easy to download the trial and try it out. And we also have help files that are going to walk us through some of the various workflows with the media browser.
Thanks, Daryl.
All right, gentlemen. So I'm going to ask you some questions. We have some questions coming in from the listening audience. And so, we want to make sure, again, everyone, please feel free to ask as many questions as you want. If it's not being answered through these gentlemen live, it'll be answered live through chat and even after the fact if you want more detail. But let's start with this one. Al, this is I'm going to direct this question to you. Where do you think this product fits best in M&E, an example use case?
Thanks, Scott. So, we kind of recognize that, storage is a crowded market, but ScaleLogic really does take a consultative approach, right? It's not just about moving iron for us. We can't afford to, ship stuff out that doesn't work. So we really talk to the end users, our reseller partners, to understand exactly what the requirements are. I mean, we offer solutions starting with a 12 drive, 48 terabyte unit, all the way to a 36 drive, 576 terabyte unit. Now you could add up to 4 JBODs each on those, right? And you can expand between 5 and 9 petabytes. We also have NVMe that we just talked about that has super high performance on compressed 4K and 8K workflows. So we feel that we can provide a solution that meets every client's requirements. And we really do take a consultative approach, Scott. So, to answer, where this best fits in, we just don't want to throw darts at it. We'd like to understand exactly what the clients are looking to do and help them solve their problems.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, so here's another one. Daryl, I'm gonna direct this one at you. I always love it when the questions come up where you can tell what market these folks are coming from. How have you used NAS solution in the broadcast market?
We've used our NAS solution in the broadcast market in just about every area. Everything from commercial insertion systems with Telestream to edit in place for news and editorial groups and promo departments, all the way to play to air master control with systems that can use our ZX for play to air environments where they can withstand a 1 minute failover on the node. So not everywhere if you need perfect uptime, but just about everywhere, and even archiving as well. So in the back archive system, so just about everywhere.
Excellent. Daryl, I'm gonna ask you this one as well. So Al, I won't put you on the spot for this question.
Thanks, Scott.
What is the NX2 doing to speed up small file caching for Adobe and FCP editing?
Yeah, so the NX2 on its own, without any additional flash, is doing a great job with small files inherently. And that's proven over the years with the base product installed at countless facilities. But when we do add in the NVMe layer, for example, what that's going to do is allow workflow where the small files, the waveform thumbnails, cache files, they will be automatically discovered by our cache handler, and they will be routed to the flash device for permanent storage. And then the large files will go to the spinning disk. This will allow the least amount of setup for the Adobe and Final Cut 10 editors. They won't have to go in and specifically alter areas where they're saving the cache files to, which is what they would have to do today if you brought in some flash and said, okay, we're going to move all the cache files to this. They would actually have to pick two different spots or two different mount points. So that's basically what the NX2 is doing. So it's really enhancing that workflow nicely.
All right, so I'm going to ask either of you guys this question. We'll call it this as this question. We'll move on to the cloud stuff. But what types of connections can be added to the NX2?
You know what, Scott? I can take this one easily. It's Ethernet connectivity. It's 110, 25, 40, 50, and 100 gig, both with copper or SFP connectivity. So we offer everything on the Ethernet spectrum. Thanks.
There you go. All right. So that answers. We'll call it a day for those questions. Again, everyone, please keep answering or keep asking your questions via chat, and our team will answer as many as they can as they come in. So now we move on to seamless integration, and this is really about integrating and managing cloud with advanced data ingestion, enhanced collaboration, and storage. So with that, Al, if you wouldn't mind again giving us the details. It's all about the options, right? Where's your cloud reside?
Sure. Thanks, Scott. Data protection is always a critical part of strategic planning, right? I mean, data is sacred for people, right? Content is king. So ScaleLogic is packaging this solution as a very simple way for our customers to deploy. So we don't have our own IP. We're transparent about that. We're curating it, and we've baked it, embedded the technology into our NAS device to backup, archive, and sync, primarily with the data protection and cost saving in mind. So yes, there's other storage vendors that have their own IP on this for the cloud integration story, but when you look at our storage cost and the cost of our embedded technology, we're still considerably less money than our competition. So, Daryl can take this up in a little more detail from here, but this is as much as, I can talk about it.
Yeah, we're really getting at to the new feature of embedded technology to build policies within the NX2 and the ZX and move and transition data where it needs to be. At the base level, the sync can be used for all types of different workflows, just getting the data to a cloud so that some other cloud application can access it. That's all built in here. And then the other big one is data protection. So if we've found over the years, if you really want to protect your data in the highest integral way, we call that a 3-2-1 data protection policy. And in a 3-2-1 data protection policy, the 3 stands for, if you really want it protected, you should have 3 copies of your most important data. Maybe not all data needs to fall under that, but your most important data should really have 3 copies. There should be 2, the 3-2-1, the 2 stands for 2 different technologies. One, let's say you use spinning disk for one and the cloud for the other copy, or tape, LTO tape and disk, or whatever, but just use 2 different technologies. And then one should be remote or on the cloud. So one should be in a data center, not in your building, or remote or something like that. So that's the 3-2-1. And what these embedded tools in the NX2 and the ZX is help you create that policy within your data protection scheme and business continuity plans to always ensure that you've got a valid backup point. You know the time to your data should one of those avenues to your data disappears for some reason, and you're always connected to your data. So let's take a look at this in a diagram of what we're talking about here. So in work groups, we've got creative applications, we're creating data, and on the left, we have our primary storage. This is the one that's fast. It's the one that the creative folks do all their magic on. Then using the embedded tools, we can have a tape library connected right to the back of that. That can be part of the backup just to have a second copy of your data, or also archive. Maybe something is old and it needs to come off the expensive storage and onto a cheaper alternative. The NX2 ZX depicted on the far right, this can be our disk second instance. So part of our business continuity plan, where if something happened to the system on the left, we could turn everybody over to the system on the right and not miss a beat. Just keep on going, because the second system might only be 5 minutes behind, literally 5 minutes behind is capable with our tools from the one on the left. So that's some pretty good business continuity plan right there. And then often that right-hand side is sized even bigger than the online system, and that big size can be a project parking location. Maybe you want to keep some footage over there for 2 more weeks while you wait for the client to continually ping you and want little subtle changes. Well, guess what? You get to go make subtle changes to the replicated to the project park area instead of having to pull it back, waste time, pull it back to the online. So many benefits of having that, not just business continuity, but also time to data. Then you've got your cloud, the built-in tools, whether you're going to disk, which is shown here on the right, or whether you're going to an LTO, all of this workflow could go to an S3 compliant cloud storage or S3 object or something that is S3 compliant. So that really is what we're talking about with the embedded tools and all of the different capabilities that it enables.
Thanks, Daryl.
Yep. Thanks for the explanation. So now, again, I just want to jump to some more questions that are coming in. Al, I'm going to ask you this one. what private and public clouds do you currently support?
Just like Daryl mentioned, any S3 compatible storage would include object store or cloud. For public, we support Backblaze, Azure, AWS, most of the usual suspects, and any private object. So S3 compatible, we got it covered. Thanks.
Right, perfect. We've got another one here. You guys tell me who wants to answer this one. This one is just, people are really wanting use cases here. Describe a use case where your cloud-enabled product line best fits in M&E.
Yeah, I can field that one. The two best fits, number one, sync to cloud. Maybe you need a data set, maybe you need a folder, maybe you need some files. Sync to cloud for some cloud workflow to take control of that. Maybe you don't need all your data there, but just maybe some subset for some transcoding job or some CDN or something. So first is just sync to cloud. Second, probably the best fit, I think that is to build a better strategy for more achieving a 3-2-1 workflow. So three different locations or 3 different backups, 2 different technologies, 1 being offsite in the cloud.
All right, so now we're going to move into yet another subject. This one I'm sure near and dear to everyone's hearts, given that everything's been happening over the last couple months, and that is the enabling remote editing. And whether that's enabling low resolution, high resolution remote editing capabilities, it's an integral part of obviously the remote worker functionality, and business continuity has been a theme throughout this. So, Bob, you've been quiet as the CEO. Geez, man, I expected you to be saying more. So I'm going to pass this one off to you, and if you want to take everyone through this.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. I'm still here. Yes, I've been quiet by design. Yeah, remote workflows, very near and dear all of a sudden. And I think the first thing that comes to mind is the remote workflows were something that were more of a nice to have up until a couple of months ago. So people have been designing technology around it, developing ways to do remote workflows, working through the difficulties around remote workflows. But 2 months ago, we were forced to go home and everybody had to move into a remote workflow to get their productions done. And so the first thing that we did is we reached out to customers all over the globe. ScaleLogic's got hundreds and hundreds of customers all around the world doing different types of workflows. So we reached out to them throughout the week, trying to get information from them on what they're thinking, what they have, what they're doing. We also did the same thing with our channel partners. And one of the things we came up with in that first week was there was over 15 different technologies or workflow perspectives being used in order to solve these customers' problem and getting them access to their systems. And that to me right off the bat said, okay, this isn't going to be as easy as we think. And we need to tap into our lab, tap into our remote people, and figure out which technologies we feel are the best. And that's what we did. We spent a lot of time, talking to people, but we spent a lot of time in our lab and testing various different types of access into the storage, into the workstations, and into the applications. And out of that, we really learned a lot, and we're able to now communicate with the customers in a much different fashion in helping them ask the right questions to determine the best way for them to move forward now and long-term in the future. And honestly, out of that came a brand new product that we were releasing, which we're calling RAP, which is Remote Access Portal. And Daryl's going to get into this in a little more detail, but it's a pretty cool little appliance for helping not every customer's workflow, but several different types of access into remote facilities. Does that answer it, Scott?
I think so. So Daryl, we're going to pass this off to you. If you wouldn't mind just explaining a couple of the value points for the customer before we get into the next question period.
Right. So as Bob mentioned, we discovered at least 15 ways to do this. This is just addressing a couple of those. So this is going to take a consultative approach, gain knowledge of desired workflow, and then come up with some recommendations. And our product here is called RAP, Remote Access Portal. It comes on a 1U server ready to go into your environment. And it may not be the solution that you're exactly needing, but that is what the consultative approach is going to bring to light. So 10 years ago, we developed a song. We were developing a scale-out NAS gateway, and what this device did was it brought SAN file system and made it into a gateway, which is taking that SAN file system and giving it access to SMB and NFS so that LAN clients could use it. Using the same technology, we now have RAP, Remote Access Portal. It's doing the same thing as Song did many years ago, but it's making that available over the internet. So once again, we talked about encryption at rest. We're using secure encrypted channels both ways. So this is using the same technology for the data transfer to and from as online banking and those type of technologies. And this hardware device gets placed on site, and we mount NAS and SAN storage to it. So we make this device be able to mount that storage. And this can mount any storage. It doesn't have to be a ScaleLogic system. It could be other storage as well that you need access to over the internet. So once we've got that in place, then the traffic comes in and out with the secure encrypted channels. We have a little bit of improved performance in and out of this box via the HTTP3 quick protocol. And obviously in future renditions of the product, we will be looking at leveraging other popular UDP mechanisms to get the transfer better. But Rev 1 of the product will be just performance enhanced through HTTP3 quick. And the remote user will see whatever the admin gives them access to. The remote user will see their storage, their files, their structure, and then they can click boxes to sync something local. And then if it syncs it local, it will use your local hard drive as a cache. So you could use this purely for just having visual into your storage using a web browser from remotely, or you could click the box and have something synced local so you could work on it. Once the checkbox is clicked, your changes, let's say to a Premiere project or to a Final Cut 10 project, your changes are then synced in the background back to the storage. So it's a bi-directional background sync. In the case of the sync, we've got cross-platform clients, Windows, Linux, and Mac, so depending on what your remote user is using. And then we've also made this appliance PC over IP friendly. So as a checkbox add-in addition, we could add in capability to run the PC over IP technology. That's the Teradici remote right on this box as well. If you don't, some of these data sets, some of these workflows, you can't sync everything. It's just not going to happen, right? So that's part of the consultative approach to figure out the best way to do this. And maybe Teradici might be a checkbox that we add on and put on the box.
So just one quick question here, just, I mean, and this is, with all that sort of technical information, like Bob, maybe I'll ask you this is, so let's boil this down just for the listening audience. Like, who do you think the true target customer is for this?
Oh, I mean, the customers are all over the industry. So the editorial customers, the broadcast customers, the post-production customers. Right now, it's just everybody who's being forced to work from home. In the future, we're learning a lot on what we can do remotely and what we cannot do remotely. So there really doesn't have a limit in the media workflow on who cannot take advantage of remote technologies.
All right. I'm going to get to some more questions here. Just given that I just asked you a question, let's kind of move on. Let me ask you this. So how do you set a remote editing workflow with multiple editors in headquarters?
Well, that's just easy. First thing you got to do is pick up the phone and call. Like Daryl mentioned, it is a consultative approach that we need to take. And between ScaleLogic and any one of our channel partners now around the globe, we've got the technical savviness and the technology to bring any type of facility into a remote workflow. There's just so many questions you need to understand. You need to understand a customer's budget for one. You need to know, where the remote locations are, what kind of bandwidth they have, what access levels they need, what kind of video that they're actually ingesting or transcoding or editing off of. So just too many questions to say there's any one way to solve a problem. That's why there are 15 different technologies out there that can be used. And so call one of the channel partners, call ScaleLogic, and we'll work you through a questionnaire first so that we can advise you correctly on how to do this.
All right, perfect. We're down to the last 9 minutes, so I want to make sure that we're respecting everyone's time here. One of the last topics, obviously, we want to cover is the proactive support and services. It's, Bob, I know this is near and dear to your heart, so I'm going to continue leading this with you. I know that, we just love hearing your voice, so keep on going.
I started it.
Just give us about this.
All right, so support and services are extremely important. Hopefully you don't need them, but in our industry, our customers are working all hours of the day and night. They're working on the weekends, and so if something does happen to technology that's out there, we want to make sure that the support is proactive and at a quality level that's really next to none. So we've built in more enterprise class feature sets into our support services in order to be proactive. And what I mean by that, so much of our platform is now embedded with what we call health monitoring. And that health monitoring is the ability for a system to ping our NOC and communicate with our network center and let us know how that system is doing. So these are hardware components like failed drives, fans, if it gets too hot, if the system's going past its capacity. There's other things you can tune and tweak in there related to software as well. But we would be preempted by the system, and so we could then see what was going on and work with that client ahead of time prior to potentially any failure that might slow down their production. So that's first and foremost. And you won't find a health monitoring system like this built into a class product that we're providing out there. So it's very, very unique to the ScaleLogic value. The next is we also put 24/7 uplift into our support contracts. Normally you have a 9x5 overnight replacement for any of the hardware components. And we saw a great need to up that to the 24/7 so that we could meet a better global demand for our product line. And that again is a service that you would normally find at the enterprise level. And we've built that into this tier of the product. Finally, and it adds and completes the entire services that we can do for this industry, is our ability to do extended services on other people's equipment. This is things like EMC, IBM, NetApp, HP, Dell, Brocade, Cisco, Quantum. The list kind of goes on what we can do. And we do it from a global perspective. we offer up these extended services, usually around the end of year 3, going into year 4 and 5. And the value to the customer is people are keeping their hardware 4 or 5 years right now, maybe even into the 6th. Once it gets past 3 years, more times than not, the OEM has added extreme upcharges to the support for 4th and 5th year, primarily because they'd like to see them refresh sooner than later. We come in that 4th year, we're able to put together the same SLA for these clients, and we do it at half the price normally than what they're currently paying. So we're giving them a huge saving on their operating expense, which is then money that gets to go back into their capital expense. So it's a great value that we're offering there. And from there, once we've done those services, we have the ability to still grow those systems for them short term. The SLAs are customized. So if they just need it for 6 months, 9 months, a year, we will do that and just focus on the current need. The OEMs are usually focused on a full solid year. Where it starts to get really exciting as well is when they are ready to refresh. Well, because we've been helping them in such a way that we have, we're usually at the table to discuss and consult on what technology is out there to look at for them. If they come to us and they refresh with us, or if they refresh with someone else, we still are there to help support that. And what I mean by that is we'll finish off the services contract. If they want to take advantage of our migration services, we'll help them migrate from the old platform to the new platform. Once it's signed off onto the new platform, we can spin down the old platform, and we have a buyback and trade-in program where we can actually give them money back for that old equipment, and we bring it in and recycle it through. So what all of this says is that we can have a conversation with a customer at any point of its life cycle and have some level of value to offer that client. And it really works well in building long-term relationships with our customers. That's it, Scott.
And speaking of customers, you know, I mean, look, I mean, this is one of those things. I know it's not cool to name drop. My good friend George Clooney always told me that. Sorry, bad joke of the day. But it's yeah, you know, obviously we just wanted to show the listeners just, you know, just some of the companies that ScaleLogic works with in a lot of industries every day. And it's Bob, let me ask you this, like, you know, can you give us just a couple examples of how, you know, a customer has used multiple services to solve kind of key issues, I guess?
Well, considering I only got 3 minutes left, let's focus in on one that puts the whole package together. So let's look at McDonald's there in the lower left-hand corner. We had a channel partner call us up, and they knew about our EMC Isilon services, and McDonald's was down. They were having a major issue with an old Isilon system. So we got our engineers on the phone. We were able to do a time and material for them to assess the situation, what was going on, and we were able to get that system up and running. When we found out that they weren't on any EMC support, we said, listen, we can do the support for you. And they said, well, we're only gonna keep the system for another 4 to 5 months before our new budget. No problem. We'll give you a 4-month, 5-month contract on that. We gave them the price. They couldn't believe the cost savings alone on that. It's the reason they didn't do service to begin with. So we got them under service, and while we had them under service, we talked about what the options were for refreshing that particular workflow, and we showed them what a SAN looked like and what a NAS looked like, and went through the pros and cons of both of those. And in the end, they decided they really loved what we were doing with the NX and ZX product line, and they wanted to go that route. So we were able to sell that new refresh system into McDonald's. We came in and helped them with the migration, moved the content off of the Isilon, got it onto the new ScaleLogic system, and once they were fine and signed off, we spun down that Isilon, and I think we ended up giving them something like $20,000 back, which completely floored them. They were completely shocked that it had that level of value. But my team has been doing this for years, and so we understood where the value was in that product. So happy customer, happy channel partner, and they've been a reoccurring customer ever since. So I think that's it. I think I'm out of time.
That is That and perfect timing. There you go. You know, everyone, thank you so much for attending today. We very much appreciate it. As we said in the beginning, you know, I guess, you know, I'm sure we all wish that we were together in Vegas and you know, having a good time there and hanging out at workstations and getting demos and those kind of things during the day, and perhaps out for some adult beverages in the evening or whatever may be happening. But circumstances are what they are. So, you know, thanks for joining us today. But speaking of demos, I mean, please book your personal demo. You can reach out if you're in North America. You know, the information's on the screen, as well as United Kingdom and Europe. And it's the team is anxiously awaiting to book meetings with you guys and to make sure that everyone has the full details on everything. And, you know, to the team at Scale Logic today, thank you so much for your time, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure as always.
Appreciate it, Scott. Thank you.
Scott, thank you very much, and thank you very much to our end user customers, new prospects, and especially our reseller partners who made time for this. Everybody stay healthy, stay safe.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks.